Well, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. My name's MC Carter. I'm founder of Practice Paradox. Today, we are in the third installment in a three-part series. We've talked about attract, convert, and nurture. So today is about the nurture piece, how to turn your prospects and your leads into clients. Now, even though we focus on specifically accounting firms and particularly business advisory, and a lesser extent, but also bookkeeping and financial advisory firms, we're inch wide, mile deep in that knowledge. But this applies to any type of business, particularly service-based and knowledge-based businesses. You can see on the screen my email address, mc@practiceparadox.com.au, and our web address there if you want to get in touch and have a chat about anything we cover today. Now, if you're new to Paradox, our mission is to help you break out of your box. Now, that box is whatever your limitations are at the moment. It might be the compliance box where you feel you're capable of delivering so much more to your clients. And I know that you are. You've got a lot of professional skills, particularly in advisory that relates to helping your clients have a better future. And the problem with non-compliant services, their very nature means that they need to be marketed and they need to be sold because the government is not penalizing them for not doing it. Compliance. So you're progressive enough to be here, and no doubt you accept that if you want to do more non-compliance, you've got to learn to communicate the value of what you do. And that's what we do at Paradox. It's about marketing, which is the communication of value one to many. We also teach you how to sell. Dirty word for many, I know. So that's the communication of value one to one. And we're really strong on innovation and leverage. So we love our technology where it has a use. And today, your propeller cap might get whirring a little bit because we'll talk about some technology today. And the third word there, marketing, innovation, leverage. It's a passion of mine. Leverage is just how can you achieve more, better, or even the same results if you're fine with the results you're getting now, but with less time, money, energy. Leverage is one of the keys to having a good life and in particular, a good, efficient, effective business. So one of the reasons we get really consistent results with firms, and we've worked with firms all around the world, multiple countries, we've been going 8+ years now, is this methodology, the Marketing Machine 2.0. And in the first and second installment, we've talked about aspects of publish and attract and convert. And today we're going to focus on some other elements beyond that, which is, okay, your website's converting visitors. You've got this growing email database, this list, and also social media connections. Then what? So today we're going to focus on automate and nurture, crucial pieces of the marketing machine model. So let's just look at some basic fundamentals. So you know that people buy from those they know, like, and trust. Those three must all be ticked. You can pat yourself on the back to be a trusted advisor, and that's great, but it won't necessarily mean you're selling very much to many people, because people really do need to feel like they know you and they've got to like you before they'll buy from you. And the process that I'll share with you today kind of puts that process on autopilot. It allows you to communicate and connect with more people in an efficient way. Now, this process of getting to know, like, and trust you doesn't happen overnight. It is a gradual process over time. So when you provide educational information, content, to your clients, if it's good content, if it's relevant and interesting and engaging, gets them thinking and feeling, then that really does build trust and authority over time. Because the authors, if you look at the beginning of the word authority, the first two syllables spell author, and that's the fastest way to position yourself as an authority on any subject matter, is to write about it. And today, with push button publishing or blogging, anyone can be a publisher, but there's a process to it, which is the value that we bring to the firms that we support. So clearly, when someone's thinking about changing business advisors, they don't do it at the drop of a hat. In the same way they don't get to know you quickly. It's like breaking up, isn't it? There's a relationship there. And that's a double-edged sword in many ways. So you've got very sticky clients. They don't just change at the drop of a hat, but they will start looking. And on the flip side, if you're one of the firms that prospective clients are looking at, you've got to have a process to help them gradually get to know you, learn what they need to learn, but not using your time, because from what I hear, there's a few deadlines about. Pretty busy time. Every month's pretty busy for anyone in an advisory firm these days. So you need to nurture your list with great content. Now, email is the main thing, and email is not sexy. It's not new. And there are lots of other ways and channels of getting content out there. There's social media. There's now messenger and bot marketing, SMS marketing. And no matter which channel you're talking about, if the content's no good, it doesn't matter which channel or channels you're using to communicate and get your content to people. But the key is to have great content. So what that does is it pre-educates and warms up your inquiries. And I'll share some examples of that with you today. Now, let's first contrast this with old school marketing, which now is called outbound marketing. So advertising. I'm amazed that people still do typical advertising. I was talking to a friend of ours through our children at school, fellow parent, and he's an accountant in a suburban practice. He's not the principal or partner in it. And he's saying, the owner bought the business off her father, and she's still placing ads in the local newspapers and magazines and hoping that something sticks, not getting a measurable return on that at all, but doing it because it's what her father did and it's what other businesses do. So many better ways to spend your marketing dollar and energy. Next, networking. You may have heard me bag out networking events. And if you like going to your networking events, great. We're human social beings. But as lead gen, it's not a very efficient or targeted way to do it. To go to a miscellaneous group of small businesses and do your elevator pitch and hope someone sends you some good quality leads. Personally, I'm an introvert. You might not think so, but I actually am. I prefer dealing with small groups of people at a time. And I hate networking. I really hate it. When I go to an event, I don't work the room. We sponsored and continue to sponsor some of the pre-con parties, like the pre-zero con party in Brisbane with Practice Ignition. We're doing it again with QuickBooks Connect in San Jose. Isabella and I jump on a plane on Sunday, head over to that. And at the end of that pre-con party, I think I spoke to 5 people. And there were like 1,100 people there. So anyway, I'm not a good networker. I don't know about you. But, you can do it if you like. But the next one's even worse, prospecting. So, reaching out to people with cold contacts. I remember talking to a firm, they were quite young, 2 partners, first time they'd broken away and started their own firm. And in our first conversation, I said, so how have you gotten your clients to date? And the 2 phrases they said were knocking on doors and pounding the pavement. I said, whoa, okay. Knocking on doors and pounding the pavement. How do you feel about that? I said, well, it's hard work, it's time consuming, and we hate it. So, whether that's the traditional sense of, dropping leaflets off to the local businesses or, chatting with the business owner when you're in a restaurant. I'm not saying not to do that, but if you rely on that, you don't have a marketing machine. If it's outbound telemarketing, oh man, I don't know anyone who likes receiving inbound cold calls. LinkedIn InMail, oh my goodness. LinkedIn, I tell you, they've just really popularized spamming, but through their platform where someone you don't know is paying money to send you unsolicited messages. I hate receiving those. You probably do too. So if you hate receiving something, don't do it to others. And that last little chestnut there, bought lists, where you go to a list broker and buy a list. Don't buy a list, grow your list with targeted prospects. And the first 2 installments of this series has talked about that, how to attract and convert people so that they find you, they like what they see and read and hear, and then they go, yep, keep communicating with me. So they're like beards, grow them, don't buy them. Now with inbound marketing, to contrast that, the metaphor we use is a conveyor belt. And when we started Paradox, we were really early movers in the digital marketing space and the world's first mover in digital marketing in the accountant space. That's a Googleable, is that a word? Googleable, it's hard to say, fact. And the word marketing funnel wasn't even a popular term back then, but it is now. And I use the term conveyor belt because it was one of the components of our marketing machine model. And let me just explain, by the way, why we use the word machine. It's not to depersonalize it, dehumanize it, and make it seem cold and mechanical. Not at all. The attributes of a machine that are good things, otherwise we wouldn't be surrounded by machines and devices and technology in our lives, is there's a logic and a structure to a machine. It can be learned, it can be built. Machines are labor-saving devices. You don't need to know all the intricacies of a machine to be able to use it. So you can learn how to use a machine. And machines can work while you're doing other things. Contrast that with a traditional and commonly held opinion, a view of marketing, that it's some creative mystique. It's something for, the ponytail, barefoot set, the long lunch set. I don't know, those old school ad agencies. And to me, marketing is logical. There's a structure to it. You can learn it. You can do it. Sure, you can't do it overnight, but there is a process that we can guide you on to get a marketing machine that generates inbound leads. So inbound marketing, people find you. Yes, it includes social media. We were the first people to teach and to be talking to accounts about, hey, you should be doing social media. We were laughed at, we were scoffed at the time for even suggesting that, which is funny in hindsight. Search engine optimization, so SEO for your website, which is all about getting more people to your website based on what are they searching on. And you've got to have great website content. So that's not just on your homepage, which is crucial, and not just your About Us page, your team page, services pages. They're all important. They're your static pages meaning they don't change all that often. You'll change them from time to time. But more importantly, the educational material that's about really specific topics. And the best home for that is your blog. If you don't have a blog, you need a blog. Don't race out and get one without talking to us, because there's some pretty ordinary platforms out there that won't give you the SEO advantages for your Google rankings as good platforms like WordPress do. But in addition to blog posts, ebooks, reports, just really helpful information. And at our very first masterclass, and we've got our next one coming up in a few weeks, and I'll mention the last offer on that today, by the way, if you want to join us. So that was back in November 2010. And we, right there, back then, 8 years ago, we were getting the accountants, the master classes, to use video and to publish video. It's so easy to do it. It's even easier now with better quality cameras and microphones, etc. But it's not hard to create video-based content, and webinars are an amazing tool. The platform that we're using today, Webinar Jam, is brilliant. We've used Zoom, which has its advantages, but it's got its disadvantages from a marketing perspective. And before that, GoToWebinar. When I was at Business Fitness, we started doing webinars. I was a co-founder at Business Fitness. They're the how now people, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the accounting profession. And it blew my mind what we achieved by just doing content-driven marketing, which is what I now teach accounting firms how to do. So you'll reach hundreds of people without leaving your desk. Amazing. Events and workshops. So that's a pretty traditional thing to do. Not many accounting firms do them consistently or do them well, but when you do, they are a great thing to be leading your marketing funnel, your conveyor belt into, is events where you teach people about aspects of running their business, managing their cash flow, their technology for their business, and so on. So that is absolutely what you want. Now, the beauty here, and when you first experience it, it does take you aback, that people will arrive pre-sold on you. So they're not kind of like a cold call going, oh, such and such said to give you a call, and they don't know anything about you. They're pre-sold. They already know, like, and trust you. And they understand things like your values, what you stand for. They see you as a bit of a guru, a bit of a thought leader. It's almost a bit of a cliched phrase these days, but you are someone to them that they're following intellectually. They understand what you provide, so you're not having to, run through, oh, we do this, we do this. They know that. They're self-served through your online content on that. And in that first conversation, you're just exploring the potential fit. And what you find is that first meeting that you have with them is just about scoping and pricing, just working out how can we help, not are we the firm, are we the accounting firm or bookkeeping firm or financial advisory firm for them, which is a beautiful thing when you experience it. So you'll get better quality leads that are faster to convert, and you'll end up with high client share clients from day one. I'll just explain that term, client share. That's a word that I coined because I got sick of saying the phrase, number of services you're providing per client group. So in other words, how many services are you providing? So most firms are providing like one or two services, like year end and quarterly compliance, whereas most firms have at least another 5 or 6 services that they could provide on a very reliable, scalable, profitable basis, but they need to be sold to clients because they're non-compliance, future focused. But when you attract good quality clients, they often do want your premium service from the get-go. So recapping, it's about digital, social, online, content-driven, and marketing automation, which we're going to talk about today. And I know I do like a good paradox, which is why I call the company a paradox. And that's another thing that I sometimes forget to cover off on. People say, why are you called paradox? Isn't a paradox something that's confusing? So, well, no, actually, a paradox is something that behind it is hidden wisdom. It's a surprising truth is my definition of a paradox, because on the surface, a paradox is something that doesn't look right. But when you think it through, it's right. So here's a paradox for you. Inbound marketing generates better quality leads than a typical referral because you have controlled the message to that point. With a referral, as much as you can guide and educate, give your clients a few tips on who you're looking for and how to refer, you've got no control over it. Whereas with your marketing machine, you're utterly controlling the wording on your website, in your blogs, in your ebooks and events, slide decks, everything, you control it. So it's beautiful quality coming in. This might sound like an overstatement to generate inquiries while you sleep and have them pre-educated so they're ready to be advised, but I'm telling you, that's exactly what happens. Steph Hines, for those of you who haven't heard of Steph, if you're in zero contact circles in Australia in particular and New Zealand, you probably have heard of Steph Hines. Steph was our first client, and she was the first graduate of what is now our strategy fast track and our marketing implementer program. It was called the Academy back then. And this is a quote from Steph. Prospective clients arrive to our first meeting already understanding our values, what drives us, what we do, and how we work. This allows us to simply explore fit between the clients and the firm and then drill straight into scoping the engagement in the first meeting. And a story that I recall that Steph shared in a webinar with members when she was going through the equivalent of the strategy fast track. She said, yeah, picked up a client the other day, and at the end of the meeting, she just signed up to our full advisory package with monthly management reporting and advisory input on top of the compliance piece. And she said, oh, I forgot to ask, how did you find us in the first place? And she said, I stumbled across an article, I forget where, somewhere in social media, and I clicked through to it. It was on your website, and it was an article about why the number one asset for a small business is data. And that caught my attention because that didn't sound like a topic that an accountant would be talking about. And I read the article, and it really opened my eyes and shifted my thinking as a business owner to, yeah, why am I doing things this way? This cloud computing sounds really smart and efficient and can eliminate data entry and chance for error. And you really got me thinking, and I've been following you ever since. And Steph said, oh, right, when did you read that article? And she went, I don't know. She thought it through. It was 9 months earlier. Case in point, happens every single day for the clients that we advise collectively. So to simplify the marketing machine, in a way, people sometimes talk about attract, convert, nurture. Attract targeted traffic, so specific people to your website. Convert them into subscribers on your website, so people who say, yes, keep communicating with me, and then nurture them. And that's, things in 3 are simple, aren't they? But like most things in life, there's more to it than that. But that's a nice, simple model to think about. But here's the thing, whether we're talking about a 3-piece, 10-piece marketing machine, if any one of those pieces is missing, it's just like a link in a chain. It only takes one link in a chain for the chain to break. And likewise with your marketing machine. And we see it all the time. And that's why that marketing machine methodology is such a great diagnostic tool and a great framework to build your strategy on. Because when a firm's not getting enough leads and good quality leads, or they're not converting them, not getting as many clients as they want, we can always pinpoint 1 or 2 areas that, when addressed, are the constraint. There's a brilliant model called the theory of constraints. If you've not read a book called The Goal by Eli Goldratt, interesting name, I know, Eli, E-L-I, Goldratt, it's double T on the end. The theory of constraints is about the fact that any system, any flow, at any point in time, will always have 1 point that is the constraint on the flow of the entire system, 1 point. And if you identify that constraint, you would then free up the flow, and then there'll be a constraint somewhere else. So we apply that theory of constraints across the marketing machine model. And for each of you right now, your constraint might be somewhere different. It might be at strategy or presence or publish, attract, convert, automate, nurture, invite, sell, onboard, or it might be more than one. But we can always diagnose that and then guide you to improve your marketing. So let's do a poll, and I do require participation in this. So let's get it up. How often do you email your list with educational, helpful information? Let me just go live on that. And this is the part where you grab your mouse or your trackpad and vote. How often do you email your list with educational, helpful information? Weekly? Every 2 weeks? Monthly? Quarterly? Rarely or sporadically? Or never? Okay. I always like to go until about 80% of you have voted to get a representative sample. So let's see. Alrighty. Now, the results, and I forgot to tick a little box that would now show you the results. 38% of you are doing it monthly. That's good. But 31% of you, a similar proportion, are doing it rarely or sporadically. There's an opportunity for you. 13% never. So if we add rarely and sporadically with never, we're at 44%, almost half of you. And if we add quarterly, which is at 6%, half of you are either doing quarterly or hardly at all or not at all. Now, I'll tell you now, that is nowhere near efficient enough for you to get a good result. You might think, well, weekly would be way too often, and maybe it would be, particularly depending how it was done. Every 2 weeks isn't so bad. Monthly is bare minimum. If you're not emailing your list monthly, people won't be opening your emails because they hardly ever see them. So when someone likes you, and there's a great book, Robert Cialdini, that's one of the models we always refer to as well. Robert Cialdini, his book is called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. He did a PhD in it. It's a fascinating book. And one of his elements in there of liking, he deconstructs what does someone like someone. And an element of someone liking you is familiarity. And familiarity, I like the fact that that word has the same Latin root as family. You know, you're one of us, you're familiar. And someone can't feel familiar with you and are unlikely to like you much compared to other people in their life if they don't see you or hear from you very often. You know, if you've got a once a year type relationship with your clients, that's very transactional. A transformational relationship with your clients is we're having monthly communication, at least quarterly. But we help firms get into a monthly cycle of not just communicating, but delivering services and communication to their clients. So thanks for taking part in that poll. I appreciate that. So let's keep moving. I love psychology. Marketing, people like Paul Meisner. God love Paul Meisner. If you're not familiar with who Paul Meisner is, top guy, but he's very opinionated, which is his strength on lots of things. He's one of the two guys, along with David Boyar, who do a great weekly podcast for the accounting profession called From the Trenches. Great podcast. I recommend it. And Paul, ironically, because he does a lot of marketing himself, is very anti-marketing, which cracks me up. But with marketing, all marketing is applying psychology. What makes people say yes or no to different propositions? And so if you don't understand human psychology, I would say that you are at a disadvantage to someone who understands the basics of human nature and human psychology. You need to understand this just for your own self-defense, if not for other means of influencing others. But here's the thing. People buy after 5 positive interactions or touches with a brand. So that referral that someone mentioned you to a friend of theirs this morning, and they have a look at your website, that's one touch. But was it a positive or a negative experience? And this is why the second piece of the marketing machine is presence. Presence is all about your digital footprint and the first impressions that you make online. And Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Blink, Malcolm Gladwell, you may have well read of some of his books. What he does is he popularizes PhDs that other people do, which is very smart. And in his book Blink, he explains that people make decisions, big decisions, in a nanosecond with a part of the brain that does not even have a verbal function. So they can't even verbalize sometimes why their gut is telling them one way or another. And part of that's design. That's another topic for another day. And we talked about that in part 1 in this series. But knowing that people buy after 5 positive interactions, I think you'd agree that it makes sense to combine that psychology with modern technology that can help you achieve that at scale. And that's why I love this whole conveyor belt of influence model. It is the beautiful nexus, the overlap of psychology and technology together. It's really, really powerful. So, as a simplistic conveyor belt of influence, if each of those, cogs in that conveyor belt are something that someone does with your business where they read a blog post and they thought, that was a good blog post, got me thinking. Then they downloaded an ebook that was linked to that blog post on the topic, going into it in a bit more depth, or maybe summarizing it so they could share it with others. That'd be step 2. And then they watched a video with you interviewing, maybe one of your clients or a colleague, or just talking to camera about another aspect of that. And then they're thinking, wow, these guys are really smart. And my current accountant never proactively advises me on anything. And then they see an email or a social post from you to attend a webinar. They come to the webinar. That's a big step of trust, isn't it? And you're doing it now, and I greatly appreciate it, which is why we always try to add as much value as we can in our webinars. So that's a 4th step. So they've sit and they've listened and they've learned from you. And then let's say you had a call to action after that of them being able to do a gap analysis or a self-assessment, some sort of quiz that gives them a score, and they do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. You haven't spoken to them directly yet. Do you think that when they do inquire, they'll know a bit about you and they'll be good to talk to? You will hit the ground running. They will speak to you like they know you. And that's the bit that takes you aback. Harvey Penne, who when we first started teaching Harvey about marketing and sales, he was with Change GPS. He's now with a very progressive firm, also a Paradox member, called Inspire. And yeah, Harvey called me once. He went, MC, I know at Masterclass you said, oh yeah, you'll get an inquiry and it'd be really weird because they'll be talking to you and you'll be thinking, should I know these people? Well, maybe I've forgotten that I spoke to them. And it turned out I'd never spoken to them, but they've been watching, our content and reading our content. And when you said it at Masterclass, I didn't believe it, but I've just experienced it myself, and I just had to let you know. That's the sort of thing that happens. And from a business growth perspective, that's powerful. I think you'll agree. Now, just said the word growth. That's another thing to come back to Paul, and I'd love to have a great debate with Paul over this. Paul is also anti-growth, and he says, oh, you don't need to grow your business. If your business is already a certain size, why do you need to grow it? And I get that. You might not want to grow in the sense of have more complexity in your life, have more staff, have more overhead. Utterly get that. So replace, if you're in that position and you don't want to grow, use the word evolve. Because if you don't want to evolve your business, you wouldn't be here right now. And by evolve, I mean improve the quality of it. Think of a garden, let's say. You might not want to grow your garden, but you may well want to improve your garden. So by that, I'll drop the metaphor now. You might want better quality clients where you can do higher quality work that they appreciate more, pay more, that you and your team can sink their teeth into more and have a better professional life. That to us is growth, but if growth scares you, just think about evolving. Okay, imagine having an unpaid salesperson, oh, that sounds all right, who worked 24/7 for you. They never slept, and they waded through your database, this list that you've been growing, your CRM, your contact relationship management database, assuming you've got one, looking for opportunities. So that'd be pretty cool. You've got the salesperson, they sit there and they wade through and they go, oh, look at that person. They read that blog post, they read that, they downloaded that, they came back to our website 3 times in the last 2 weeks. And based on what they've read, I think they might be interested in this video. And then they sent them a really polite, friendly, helpful link saying, hey, John, Jane, notice your interest in this. This video might shed some more light on that for you. Right? That'd be cool, right? You're not paying them, they never sleep. So if they then sent prospects and existing clients that relevant information, based on what they did on your website, what they read, clicked, watched, opened, and even what they didn't open. In other words, they sent things that were perfectly tailored to each person's interests. Well, my friends, that is the power of marketing automation, which I'm going to explain or give you an introduction to today. Even if you're already using some tools that can do this, I'll share with you some principles to apply. Now, marketing automation, like any automation, is a series of if-then statements. If this happens, then do this. It's the basis of software. In fact, it's the basis of a lot of accounting, isn't it? If this, then that. So you might be familiar with tools like Zapier, ZAPIER.com. Some people pronounce it Zapier. I'm pretty sure it's Zapier because the things are called zaps. Anyway, in Zapier, there are triggers which causes actions. So you can say, when this thing happens over in my CRM, trigger, do this action over here in Xero, trigger action. Pretty basic sort of concept, But as basic as that is, you can build some amazingly efficient, sophisticated things. So I won't delve into the detail here, but within marketing automation, there are the triggers and actions, and then there are workflows, which are in the tool that we recommend called Infusionsoft. They're called campaigns, but they're basically like a flow chart, a series of things that happen. And sequences are, a series of emails and or SMS messages. You can have decision diamonds where you go, okay, if they do open that email, in 3 days, send them this. If they haven't opened the email, in 7 days, send them this other message, and so on. Tags, fields, goals, timers. Don't have time today to go into it, but this is what we teach our members, is how to understand these principles. For example, what's the difference between a tag and a field? It's not complex, but you need to understand that to have this 24/7 salesperson who never sleeps working for your business. Now, some of the marketing automation platforms out there, in the webinar that I did recently with Spotlight Reporting and Practice Ignition, so that was Richard Francis and Trent McLaren, they mentioned HubSpot, and HubSpot is cool, has its strengths. Personally, I think it's 3 times more expensive than what you can achieve with 3 other apps that you can link together anyway, but the HubSpot has its fans. We recommend Infusionsoft, and we also recommend, depending on what apps a firm's already using, ActiveCampaign. So there's never one best. We always advise firms on what's the best fit for you, but there's Ontraport, Marketo, Pardo, which was acquired by Salesforce. So different platforms out there. But do speak to us before you make a decision, because we can say, oh, okay, so you're already using this for your transaction processing. Okay. Or you're already using this for your sales pipeline. And we can go, right, okay, don't go that way, go this way. So let me give you an example, marketing automation scenario. And I'm going to work backwards, begin with the end in mind. A guy that I met in my days living in Brisbane, I now live on the Sunshine Coast north of Brisbane. He used to work for NASA, and he was involved in putting satellites into space. And his discipline wasn't as an engineer, but as a project manager, basically making sure deadlines, milestones were met. And he did a presentation once, just standing there with a flip chart and some markers, explaining the fundamentals of project management. And the thing was great, because I'm remembering it now, 25 years later. And he said, all we do is we start at the end point and we go, okay, satellites successfully orbiting. And we ask, what would have had to have happened just before that? And then we think it through and we define that and we date it and we resource it and we work out. And then we just keep working backwards. What would have happened just before that? Just before that. So this is what I'm about to do now. So picture this, put your feet up on the desk, smile on your face, because you've just got a fantastic, high value new client. Virtual high five, happy days. But what happened just before that? Well, you were really pleased that they were easy and fast to convert in the sales process. They were a pleasure to talk to, and now they're going to be a pleasure as a client. What happened just before that? Well, the first conversation, as I mentioned earlier, felt like speaking with a friend. Well, that's pretty cool. And before that, they picked a free time slot directly from your calendar using a tool like Calendly, or we use Appointment Core because of its tight integration with Infusionsoft. But anyway, they picked the time from the calendar, so that didn't involve your time or any time of your staff. And then just before that, the prospective client contacted you. You weren't out knocking on doors and pounding the pavement. They came to you. So what happened just before that? Well, they were seeing you as an authority. You're the go-to person in this space, and they're feeling pretty ready to buy. They're really keenly wanting to talk to you. So what happened just before that? They consumed information, a series of information about a specific service, let's say. So let's say you're wanting to focus on your bookkeeping service, your cloud-based bookkeeping service with monthly management reports and quarterly conversations around that, as an example. But you pick what it is. So you can break down any service that you've got. We show you, and at Masterclass, we're going to show you how to do it. You identify what are the underlying principles that if you were teaching someone the why it's important and what's involved, not how to do it, but the why and the what are those underlying principles? And you base your content around that. And that then creates the cognitive dissonance that you've heard me speak about earlier in the series, that gap in someone's mind that they want to bridge. So just before that, what happened? The marketing automation, while you were sleeping, sent the relevant series of information. You were off doing other things, working, playing, your choice. Just before that, they'd indicated a particular interest through their action. So after they read a blog post, they downloaded, let's say, a 1 or 2 page PDF document about the topic, and they clicked a button, entered their email address, clicked download now, they got the PDF, and then they were asked, one more thing, so we can tailor the information we send you, how would you describe yourself? And it had 3 buttons: business owner, aspiring business owner, I don't own a business. I just randomly just pluck those out of the air right now. They're called segmentation questions, and they then tag that person, that contact in your database. Super valuable. And tags are not fields. Think of a tag as a virtual sticky note that you could put on their file to go, oh, that's right, they own a business, or they are an aspiring business owner. And based on that tag, then you had different information to go to them, because they have utterly different needs, don't they? Whether they're in business, thinking about starting a business, or a wage and salary earner. What happened before that? You sent out an email broadcast to segment your list. So that's another way that you can segment your list, is you can survey them. Before that, you nurtured them by sending them useful, relevant information. Okay, so they're already on your list. Cool. And those of you, 31% of you that are doing a monthly newsletter, that's an opportunity. You can see, if you've got 2 or 3 articles in that newsletter, you can see click-through rates, what percentage of people and which people click through to read the full article of Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. That's valuable information. And this part, your welcome and indoctrination series strengthened rapport. So the welcome and indoctrination series is something we go through in more detail in Masterclass, is when someone's just signed up on your list, you need to communicate with them and set their expectations. And at that point, you can actually ask them to do things in a way that is you helping them. So you could say, oh, look, by the way, make sure you whitelist our email, and here's how you do that, with show them a little graphic so that our future emails will reach your inbox. And by the way, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because you attended our recent webinar. We put the recordings of most of our webinars up on the YouTube channel. So click here and then click the subscribe button to get notified of when we've got new videos. So that's just some quick examples. Or you could say, connect to me. I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn so we could see each other's updates. Because they're warm, right? They've just opted into your list. So that's a step along the conveyor belt. They're feeling good about you. So this welcome and indoctrination is a really important step. Just before that, your website engages the prospect. So they like it. They like what they're reading. They like what they're seeing. And they opt in for a lead magnet. So they downloaded something off your site. Well, what would have had to happen just before that? Well, they had to find your site, didn't they? So your site is highly visible in search engine results. So they found you. So remember, this is inbound. You haven't prospected them. And just before that, the prospect went online and searched for something. They had a need, a problem, a challenge. They needed to find something or someone to help them in their lives. Generally, we're all motivated by either pain or pleasure. So they're either looking for something to achieve and move towards, or they're looking for something to solve, relieve, move away from. Depending what your services are, the angle differs. But they searched online. And what would have had to happen just before that? You've SEO'd, that is a verb these days. You've done the search engine optimization. I had someone like us SEO your web pages for specific target phrases. So they're the phrases that you want to rank well for in Google, and you must have them documented. And that's why when we onboard a new member at Paradox, one of the very first things we do is we do keyword research based on who you're targeting, what you're wanting to sell, and identify which of the phrases people are currently searching on that are a match. And then we go to work and help you rank well for those phrases. So you can see you just got a fantastic high-value new client where we started. Didn't happen by accident, did it? But none of those steps in and of themselves were difficult, particularly when you're guided by someone who knows how to do it. So just a quick screenshot here. This is out of Campaign Builder in Infusionsoft, and it shows a series of events left to right. I'll just zoom up on that a little bit. So on the left, let's say you had a registration form where you're promoting a seminar. So you got a free seminar registration. So they've signed up. Yep, I want to come to, how to move my accounting to the cloud, whatever it is. Then that sends them, that next rectangle is the email confirmation request. So that is an email that goes to them and says, hi, thanks for subscribing. Just to check that you are the person who subscribed, can you please click this link? So that's called a double opt-in, and it's best practice in email. It will ensure that a high percentage of your emails reach people's inboxes, and it stops people subscribing for other people or entering in spammy, false email addresses. So they've confirmed the email. Then that next rectangle within that, when you double click on it in Infusionsoft, can be the series of little emails to say, okay, send this email, then 3 days later or 7 days later, then send this email, etc. So thanks for registering, and then a week out, or the event's a week away, and then 2 days out or the day before, you can send other information. Then that little diamond they call it a decision diamond, and then branches out based on who they are. You could send different sequence of emails based on what industry they're in or what they're focusing on. Then just out to the right there, out to other sequences with the confirmation, as I said, the day before, and then you could pull a list out for catering. All of this can be automated, send it through to the venue, and you've just done a very efficient event. The decision diamond, I won't dive into this in any detail, but in the decision diamond, that's where you put the if this, then that. So I'll just read out the top one because it's too small for you to see very easily. If the contact's tags don't contain, they're a business coach or a health coach or a life coach, then send them down this channel. Or if the contact's tags does contain, etc. So it's all automated, all happening. There's a bigger view of it for you there. All happening while you sleep, which is pretty bloody cool. So some other elements in marketing automation across whether they're things that a client or a prospect can do, whether something you or one of your team does in that middle column, or an action by another app. So the contact might submit a web form or a landing page web form, which is like a web page. They clicked on a link or they reached a score. Lead scoring is super cool. I have to park it for now. But they get 4 out of 5 flames in the system that indicates to you that they're quite a warm lead, or they purchase something, or your user internally completes a task or applies a note or does something. All of these things can trigger different actions. So it's all just if that, then what? And the sequence is what you want to communicate to them, and with the timing. And within those sequences can be emails, can be SMS messages. You can even push voicemail messages straight to someone's message bank on their mobile phone. But in the processes, you could apply a note to them in a CRM, a text note, or tag them in some way, or create a task for someone in your firm to give them a call, or create a sales opportunity, or the send HTTP post. This is where your propeller cap might be wearing if you're a bit techie. If it's not, don't worry. All HTTP post means send some instructions to another app. Very cool. This is how you end up. Now, Greg Tuckwell of Zero Books, Zero spelled with a Z, E-R-O, books.com, which we've helped from their startup, and they're now double platinum in Zero. He said his business is a machine where all the data flows from the website into their CRM, into their pricing, scoping, proposal tool, into their workflow management. And their team doesn't do any data entry along the way. The prospect and then the client does. Pretty good era to be in business. So whilst marketing automation is effective for educating your existing clients and your future clients, your prospects, it's also really cool for automating operational and service delivery related communication. So in other words, just communicating about logistics and doing your day-to-day stuff that your clients are paying you for across the year, across each quarter, across each month. I'll give you an example. Matt Sharwood here, he uses Infusionsoft. We put him onto it. He's even attended InfusionCon, their conference over in Phoenix with us one year. Anyway, he's implementing Infusionsoft. And each quarter, automatically, he surveys his clients and asks them, what is your number one issue at the moment? And he's got certain questions that he asks around, is it growth? Is it profitability? Is it cash flow? Is it team? Is it technology? Something like that. And when they answer that, that then tags them. Each contact record, each person gets tagged. And then there's a series of communications related to that context that are highly relevant to them, that he then educates them, sends them information. He's developing, online delivery of education as well, incredibly scalable. And that's one of the reasons he's grown so strongly. He's recently gone through a phase where he didn't want to grow. He was just bedding things down because he went through a rapid growth. You can see in that grey square on the right, Matt, and by the way, the screenshot there where you can see Matt is a screenshot from our YouTube channel. So youtube.com/practice paradox. And I'll practice what I preach and tell you to subscribe to that channel. Just click the red subscribe button when you're there. But that's a video of me interviewing Matt about what I'm about to share. So when he came to us, his average client value in year one and ongoing was about $2,800 a year. But he learned from us how to build and fuel this content-driven marketing machine. And we do his blogging, social posts, SEO, etc. Because he wanted to do more business advisory, but he wasn't doing much of it before he came to us. He was capable of it. He was in great systems and support networks like Mindshop. So he'd invested a lot of time, money, energy in the skills, the tools, etc. But you never, as far as advisory goes, you never get to deliver what you never learn to sell. Irrefutable truth, because the government's not making anyone do it. So anyway, Matt's followed our advice and he's been a great implementer. So now his average new client engagement is 8,000 to 10,000 per annum, up from 2,800. And in that interview, he said, yeah, we've added 100,000 a month in MRR. Now that might blow your mind as an amount, or it might not. But whatever the amount for you is, you might want to add an extra 20,000 a month or 10,000 a month to your monthly recurring MRR. So in Matt's case, annualize that to 1.2 million. So that was all on advisory focused clients and attracting them. His website is adviseaccountants.com.au. We came up with his name, we did his logo, we did his website, we did his website content, etc. And the most important thing with marketing, once you get that strategy and presence right, is the monthly content cycle of your blogging, your SEO, your email newsletters, your social media posts. And that's the core of our automated marketing services, if you're wondering. Another quick poll. Let's make this one quick. Do you have an automatic email welcome sequence for new subscribers? So when someone is on your list, other than just thanks for subscribing, do you have a sequence of communications that go to a new subscriber? Either yes, we have a multi-part educational welcome series, or almost we have one welcome email, or nope, new subscribers just get the next email we happen to send them, or uh-oh, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, let's have a look at the results. 36% of you know, they'll just get the next email you happen to send out. 29% of you just send the one welcome email, and 14% of you don't know. 21% of you answered yes. So basically, in round figures, 80% of you can't tick this box yet, and you need to. And we can help you do that, because if you don't do that, you're growing a list with a missed opportunity cost of nurturing that list, which is the topic of today's nurture. Now, at Masterclass, one of the worksheets we're going to give you when you attend is the Marketing Machine Blueprint. So this is like a checklist where you can think through all of those areas within the automated marketing machine. So this blueprint is something you can put up on your wall, and that way it's front and center. You can't miss it, and you go, right, yep, we're working through that, working through that, working through that. And we're happy to provide that to you right now, anyone in the webinar, at no cost. Just drop us an email. Actually, no, I think I've got, no, we got a website that we can send to you on that, actually. We'll send everyone a link that you can download that. And in fact, I will get it right now, and I'll paste it in chat to everyone. So it's practiceparadox.com.au/blueprint. And you'll see that link at the top of your chat now. You can click through to that. So it's A2 PDF, meaning it's big, 4 times bigger than a normal page, and put that on your wall. And we can then help you absolutely nail your business's marketing. Now, look, in my view, if you're typing stuff that's like data entry, or you're rekeying data that's in another app, really, you're not much more sophisticated than a trained monkey if you're doing that in your business, or your staff is. Now, I'm a big fan of automation, but we've always got to temper that with, you don't automate everything in your business. We're not out to turn anyone into an army of robots, Clearly that doesn't make any sense. But there are things that humans should do, and there are things that machines are really well suited to do. So humans, we're really well designed to think, initiate, communicate, innovate, care, actually give a shit, connect, sell, plan, intuit, use your intuition and your gut feel to find opportunities, interpret and advise. That's why the accounting profession and the related advisory professions are safe if you focus on the left-hand column of what humans should do. If you think your job is predominantly to remind people to do repetitive tasks, to calculate things, to just execute and carry out instructions, to do data entry, to create reports, receive orders, process information, anticipate things, analyze, and just vend, and I'll explain that in a moment, you're just a robot, you're a human vending machine. If you only do what your clients ask in terms of their advisory services, they only wanted quarterly BAS or quarterly and annual lodgements, so that's what we do for them. Well, you're a human vending machine, and you will be replaced by technology sooner or later. That's the fact of it. We've been saying that for the best part of a decade. It will happen, but not if you focus on the innately human traits and abilities on the left-hand side there. So, your opportunities to outcompete, those skills on the left, that's where you build trust. That's where you can support your clients more proactively. And, really, when this is done well, you can simplify your life. You can have fewer moving parts, and you can truly lead your clients. I love the phrase, Jay Abraham, marketing guru I learnt off in my early 20s, said, people are silently begging to be led. Great phrase. I don't know if he got that from somewhere else, but people are silently begging to be led. And that means, we're all a bit shy. Sometimes ego might come into play for certain people, and we might think, well, I don't want to ask for help. But if you see help being offered, you'll gravitate towards it. So don't expect your clients to ask for advisory services. You've got to show leadership and educate them and take them there. And here's a paradox for you, the automation paradox. The purpose of automation is not to reduce the personal touch. It's not, but rather to increase it by eliminating the mundane interaction with your clients and instead free up time and capacity for the meaningful interaction to do more of what was in the left-hand column there. I remember in my days at Business Fitness facilitating a user group. We called them fitness classes or something with Business Fitness. And there was a person in an accountant in Melbourne, and he said, I like ringing my clients up for their missing bank statements, etc. It's a chance to have a chat and a conversation with them. So he was kind of arguing, it doesn't matter, dealing back in the days before cloud accounting, dealing with the old shoebox, right? Of just a mess and missing pieces of data. And someone else, Andrea, piped up, Andrea McKenna, her name is, she's great, from Aintree Group. And she said, well, if that's what you need to trigger a conversation with your clients, then you've got deeper problems with your business. And I thought, thanks for saying that for me. Last quick poll here. Let's have a look. Last poll is, do you follow up with opt-ins who download things from your site? So before we were talking about after they initially subscribe, but what after they download something from your website, like an ebook or a template or something? So answer yes, we check in and have a follow-up email series, or yes, just one follow-up email, or no, but they are added to our list, but no specific email series. I need to find out. Just waiting for a few more of you to vote on this. So the quicker you vote, the quicker we move on to the next content piece. Okay, we'll end that poll. But 2/3 of you say no. You're added to the list, but no specific email series. So reach out to us as a Paradox member if that applies to you, because all of these things can be built out. And to build out a series, all you need is a copywriter to write the series of emails. And within our Paradox Preferred network, we've got great copywriters that we refer our members to. Then you need someone to load that up into a marketing automation system. So if you're using Infusionsoft or ActiveCampaign, the two main ones that I mentioned earlier that I recommend, we again have recommended Paradox Preferred partners in each of those areas. And you say, hey, Nathan, can your team load that up and get that going? And then it works while you sleep. That's the great thing about all of this stuff that we teach. Build it. That saying from Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. It's not true, right? You need to promote your content. It's not just about publishing it, but build it and it's done applies. You build this stuff and it's done. You'll end up with lead magnets that grow your list every day of the week, including Saturdays and Sundays, when you do it well. So a reminder, you can go to that link in chat to get your complimentary, no charge, to get the Marketing Machine Blueprint. But if you haven't yet booked to come to Masterclass, I'm going to give you a little offer in a moment to make it worth your while to join us. Because even though when we list feedback from the superstar firms that we help, everyone needs to understand, and I sometimes forget, and Alicia on our team reminded me after speaking to some people after webinars where people said, oh, but you guys only work with the successful firms or the high profile firms. And Alicia fed that back to me and went, okay, interesting point. I understand that perception because, we're featuring our poster children, but they didn't start with us like that. They became that way. Now, back to that point about if any one point of your marketing machine is missing or broken, you won't get the inbound, well-targeted leads. So the question to ask yourself now, and by the way, we'll go about 3 or 4 minutes over. We've got 2 minutes to go. Is your accounting firm ready for digital marketing? Because frankly, it might not be. If your brand is blah, blah, beige, vanilla, look like you're stuck in 1997 or something like that, there's no point driving traffic to your website if it doesn't make good first impressions, or if the website's badly designed or has terrible content. There are certain things you need to get in place first. So what I recommend is take our quiz if you haven't done it yet, and you'll understand that this is part of our conveyor belt, but it adds value to you. We have a quiz that you can take, and it's at practiceparadox.com.au/ready. And when you go there, you can take a quiz and answer a few questions, and you'll actually get a score that will tell you how ready your business is for digital marketing, because you might not be ready. And if you're not ready, that's okay. We just point you in a different direction if that's the case. Now, I'll just put that link to everybody in chat for you. So practiceparadox.com.au/ready is that one there. So do that quiz, and then we'll reach out to you and guide you. If you are ready, great. That means you could start on our automated marketing machine services, where we become this outsourced marketing team for you, but in a really cost-effective way, because you're not paying for 6 people. You're getting a slice of a team that's for you doing 6 different things across SEO, blogging, social media, marketing automation, and the like. It's a very cost-effective way for you to have your own marketing team, is to use our services. But if you're not ready, we'll steer you into what we call our strategy fast track, which is brand new. And the first intake actually starts tomorrow. If that's of interest to you, get in touch with us. The strategy fast track will enable you to nail your strategy and presence. That they are the first 2 elements you'll recall from the marketing machine model before you start publishing. Help you nail that in 6 weeks flat. And that was a brainwave, great idea by Alicia Edgar and our team, because we're already helping firms do that, but through our masterclasses, which were only run on that topic once or twice a year. And people had an immediate need. So we're now teaching the content from our winning strategy masterclass through the strategy fast track, so people can tap into that and get that done faster so that you're ready for digital marketing. Now, by the way, our next masterclass is not on strategy, it's on killer content, which I'll come to in a moment. So a reminder again, 2 out of 3 things that I'm going to suggest to you. Download the blueprint, get that PDF, flick it off to Officeworks or Office Depot or somewhere, depending what country you're in, and say, hey, print that out for me in A2, please, and give me a couple of copies of it. Now, across that approach that I've taught you today, and across the last 3 webinars, you've seen that marketing does have a structure. If you follow the automatic marketing machine model, and you implement and execute well on each of those, you will get good, solid, strong results. You will. It's inevitable. So that's the marketing structure piece on the top left there. But you've got to have the marketing strategy right. If you don't get your strategy right, there's no point doing social media and blogging, etc., because you just be blah, 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 like all the other businesses out there who just want, firms a certain size revenue, and, as long as they're willing to pay and they're nice people, which is a strategy for mediocrity. You'll stay in the middle of the bell curve with that approach. So marketing strategy, now it's a strategy fast track. We can help you nail that. And then lastly, the third thing you need for effective marketing is support. You need people to do things for you. Business coaching is fine, but I'm a bit cynical on business coaches, because the business coach's mantra is this: business coach should never, ever leave a coaching session with anything to do on their own list. And look, in their defense, that makes sense. The coach doesn't run on the field with the ball, or run on the court and hit the ball. They coach, and that's fine. I get it. But in business, you need someone to do stuff for you. You need someone to do the digging, to do the shoveling, to do the hard yards. And content marketing takes time. So that's where our done-for-you marketing services come into play. And the testimonial on the right there, that's white and black accountants there in Brisbane, sole practitioner, Jason McDonald. Beneath the screenshot of his homepage, which is whiteblack.com.au, just whiteblack.com.au, he shared that in Facebook. And he said, look, I get on average 1 lead a day from this strategy through my website. 1 lead a day. And sure, things change over time. The last feedback he gave us that I shared, I think, in the last webinar, is he's getting one or two new clients every week at the moment, all through inbound marketing. But the turning point for him was coming to our masterclasses. If you ever speak to Jason, or if you hear us interview him in videos and podcasts, he'll say, yep, I was just floating. I had no real focus when I started, but when I got the 7 big rocks of strategy nailed and started publishing content, doing SEO that was a fit to who I was targeting, that's when it all started to happen. Another story I've never shared publicly, he messaged us a couple of Sundays ago, messaged me personally in Facebook, because he noticed something on our masterclass page where he was booking. There was a little broken link. And anyway, I said, oh, thanks for that. I'll let Brad know. And we just toed and froed for about 20 minutes. And he came back and said, by the way, in the last 20 minutes, I've got 2 leads and 2 sales meetings set up for the coming week in the last 20 minutes on a Sunday. And he said that was interesting that he gets leads on a Sunday. He targets e-commerce businesses. And so lastly, this is what I invite you to do, is to join us at Masterclass. I can guarantee that our Masterclasses are nothing like any other event that you attend on a regular basis in the accounting profession. And the why I can guarantee that is I speak at these events. I go to the public practice forums, the Xerocons, the QuickBooks Connect, and they're all great events and they've got a lot going for them. Don't get me wrong, but you don't learn anything actionable at events where you just sit and you just watch a slide deck. You don't learn anything. You might get some insights, but that is death by PowerPoint. That is just data dump. And people think they just got to talk and, make you smile and laugh a few times and run through their slide deck and go. If you don't do something, you're not learning. And we do proper education and training. We use a system called Format, which that's the number 4 MAT. If you want to Google it, it's brilliant because it covers all learning styles across visual, kinesthetic, auditory, meaning, some people learn visually, some learn by hearing, some learn by doing. Everyone learns by a combination of those things. So at our masterclasses, you will learn by doing. You will leave 2 days. You'll have your plan for the coming year mapped out. You'll have a content plan, marketing plan for the coming year mapped out. You'll have everything from publish around to onboard in the marketing machine blueprint mapped out for the coming year. And you'll have a clear vision for what your firm can be and really realistic growth targets and the support to achieve them for the coming year. So you'll see on your screen in the right-hand side there, this is it's only a few weeks away. So the ticket sales are actually going to stop in about a week or so because we have to confirm numbers with the venue. So if you click the button there today and you use a code, which is one word, all capitals, SUPER, and you enter that in the promo code little field and click apply, when you click through to buy your tickets, you'll save $600 on the ticket. So whether you're a Paradox member or not, either way, because there's member prices and non-member prices, either way, you'll get $600 off your ticket price. So the event is on the 22nd and 23rd of November on the glorious Sunshine Coast by the beach, very close to the airport. It's at Sunshine Coast, Maroochydore Airport. So you can fly in quite conveniently. You could come into Brisbane as well if you wanted to, because more flights into Brisbane, but really easy to get to, right on the beach at Surf Air. And you're going to learn things that have transformed countless high-performing firms now. And you might not want to be another Growthwise or another Consolidate with Tanya Titman on the screen there, or you might not have your sights set on being the next Xero Partner of the Year, because a lot of those are Paradox members. That's fine if you're not into that. But whatever scale and flavor of your goals are, we can help you plan and execute and achieve them. Your goal might just be, I want fewer clients. I don't want to be working weekends and nights, or I just want to work 4 days a week and have even a better income throughout the year and dividends on year end. Whatever your goals are, it's your business. You can design your own business. And that's part of what we do in Strategy Fast Track too, by the way, is help you design the specifics of that. So you're going to learn how to create killer content, but not you in particular. You'll do what you're best at, but we'll show you how to have a workflow and a team within and outside your firm to help you consistently create content that works, that engages, that gets people to your website, converting onto your list, and then nurturing your list. It's the most practical marketing training available for accountants. That's the feedback that we get, and we know it to be true. I wouldn't have founded Paradox if someone was already doing this. They just weren't. They're all still doing their slide fests and their blah blahs. So there'll be a dinner on night one as well, which is optional, that you can come to. You're welcome to bring your partner or spouse if they're traveling with you. And it's a great time of year, end of November, to start thinking ahead and planning for the coming year. So that offer will last for another 1 hour and 55 minutes. So click through. If you have to scroll down to see the blue button, last chance to save, just scroll down. It's just under that image on the right. Click through, secure your masterclass tickets at this price, and we'll see you there. So thank you. To wrap the whole series up now, thank you for joining me for the 3-part series, Attract, Convert, and Nurture. If you've got any questions whatsoever, just drop us an email. I haven't had time today to go through chat. Most of it was conversational anyway. And drop us an email, hello@practiceparadox.com.au, or me personally, MC Michael Carter @practiceparadox.com.au. And we'll also talk to you about Strategy Fast Track, which is starting tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day and week, and I look forward to catching up with you again soon. Bye for now.